The Chargers want to run the ball. Coaches talked to the media this week, actually on the day that I was there, and they spoke about how they envision this offense in the run and in the pass game. And this new offensive philosophy that they're having is going to make Justin Herbert an even better quarterback, and it should win the Chargers some more football games. So make sure to like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. It helps me out so much. And let's go ahead and start off with Andy Bischoff, the run game coordinator, talking about Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think every great quarterback, when surrounded by a quality run game, has the opportunity to have plays that are a little bit of a breather play. Not everyone needs to function like Peyton Manning did to win the football game. In our system of football, do we really need to put him under that much stress on every single down? And the answer is no. And so how do you do that? You have a balanced offense that brings out the greatest strengths in everyone on the unit. And certainly when you have a player of his caliber, you're excited about the outcome.
So obviously they understand the caliber of quarterback that they have in Justin Herbert. This is the run game coordinator talking about having a balanced offense. You notice how he didn't say it's going to be a run heavy offense. We're going to establish the run, do whatever it takes to do that. Justin Herbert doesn't have to go out there and be like Peyton Manning and throw 35, 40 times a game. We're just going to run the football, and that by itself is going to take stress and pressure off of Justin Herbert so that when you do have to go back and throw the ball on like a 3rd and long or 2nd and long, whenever you want to throw the ball, it's going to allow him to be at his best and not have to act like he's Superman. Look at the Bills with Josh Allen. Josh Allen got in trouble so much through so many interceptions because he often felt like he was the only one that could go out and win the game for the Bills. And I think taking that pressure off of Justin Herbert, and then also what he said is catering this offense to the strengths of the players in that entire unit is going to really allow them to maximize what they have in Justin Herbert, as well as maximize the run game, because both the run and the pass game, they can open up opportunities for each other. If you're running the ball really well, defense is going to come down, and then maybe a play action, it opens up down the field because the safety is coming down into the box. And then if you've been passing the ball really well, then obviously the defense, they're not going to be ready for you to run the football right down their throat. You just run power with a guy like Gus Edwards. You can get 5 or 6 yards a pop if the defense is not expecting it, and maybe they're out there in like a nickel or a dime formation. They don't have the personnel out there to defend a big running back running downhill. And Andy Bischoff wasn't the only one talking about having a balanced attack on offense, because Marcus Brady, the passing game coordinator, also had that same sentiment.
Obviously, you want your quarterback to be able to handle everything, at least understand everything that's going on. But the more that you could take off their plate, especially when you have a center that can make the calls to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, quarterback's got to know what's going on. But when you can take those off his plate, it just slows down the mind, right? Because it's just less thinking for him. Now he can just go out there and play and let his abilities shine where he's not just thinking too much. So that's kind of the balance that we want to have. We want to be able to run the ball well, where he's not always relying on him to win us the game, So just be able to surround him with good scheme, good talent around him is just going to make his game be able to elevate himself.
You know that you're going to be running the football when your passing games coordinator is talking about running the football and having a balanced attack like that. I'm expecting this to be a very run-heavy approach, but I'm also expecting them to pass the ball, like maybe not 30 times a game, but giving Justin Herbert like 20 to 25 attempts a game. It's not going to be like J.J. McCarthy or like Alex Smith back in the 49ers days where you're consistently getting less than 20 attempts. I think they understand what they have in Justin Herbert because they are talking about maximizing him to the best of their ability. So clearly they understand the huge talent that they have at quarterback, and I don't think they're going to let that go to waste. I think they're absolutely going to utilize that. And then obviously there's going to be times where things just don't really work out well in a game, and Justin Herbert needs to go out there on a game-winning drive, and he is going to go and probably make some crazy plays that they don't ask him to do, but just because he's Justin Herbert and he can make crazy plays like that, he's going to go out and do it. And by having that balanced offense throughout the entire game, by the time you get to that 4th down drive, the defense, they're not going to know what to expect because boom, Justin Herbert flips that switch and he goes out and wins the game. I also thought it was really interesting that he talked about having a good center that can see things on the field pre-snap and call it out for Justin Herbert, because that allows him to clear his mind and just be more in the moment and allow him to loosen up and play his best football. That is something that this team was severely lacking once Corey Linsley went down, and we saw the effect that it had on Justin Herbert and really on the entire interior of this offensive line. I think a lot of the reason that Zion had a down year was because he was struggling with those stunt moves because Corey Linsley was not helping him and saying, hey, there's probably going to be a stunt move on this play, and so he just wasn't expecting it. And one guy in the draft that I really like, who's a very smart technical player that can call those things out on the defense, is Cedric Van Pran, the center from Georgia. I think he would be a really nice pick in like the 3rd round if they don't get like Zach Frazier or Jackson Powers Johnson in the earlier rounds. Another thing that Marcus Brady said later on in this interview that I thought was very significant is that they want to make the pass and the run game look as similar as possible so that the defense does not know what's coming. And that's why Marcus Brady, the passing game coordinator, is working very closely with Andy Bischoff and Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. Everyone is just molding this offense into becoming what it is going to be. They're going to have a lot of formations that they can run a lot of different plays out of. It's going to allow them to be multiple on offense. Defense is not going to know what to expect. And it seems like the priority is not just to run the ball, but to maximize Justin Herbert as well. And to me, that means that they are still going to be taking those deep shots downfield. They're still going to be throwing the ball with Justin Herbert when they need to, like, go out there and get that first down on like a 3rd and 5. So I don't think the fans should be worried about them not getting the most out of Justin Herbert, because everyone has been saying they want to maximize Justin Herbert as much as they have been saying they want to run the football. Now, I want you guys to listen to what Andy Bischoff had to say about Will Dissly.
You're talking about one of the 3 guys in the league that can own the C-gap, period. And there's not many of them, okay? This is a different kind of football league we live in now, and to have a tight end that can own the C-gap is rare, and he's one of those guys. And then let's not lose sight on what he provides you in the passing game. And this is a guy who catches the ball at a high percentage in terms of his target to catch ratio, a guy who doesn't drop the football and who protects the football, doesn't fumble it.
Will Dissly was one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL this past year. And also, Andy Bischoff is right. He can catch the football as well. He just wasn't asked to do that a whole bunch at Seattle because they had a bunch of tight ends like Colby Parkinson. They had Noah Fant. They had a ton of guys in that room. And I expect the Chargers to also have a bunch of guys in that room. So I don't expect Will Dissly to get a ton of targets because they still have guys like Donald Parham, Stone Smart. Those guys are both still on this team. We also have Hayden Hurst, who Andy Bischoff talked up a bunch. He said that Hayden Hurst had the potential to be like one of the top 6 tight ends in the entire NFL because of that athletic ability that he has and the ability to catch the football and run down the field. Some pretty high praise from him. He even talked about that 2019 season that they got the most out of Hayden Hurst. It's going to be interesting to see how many targets Hayden Hurst gets in this offense and how they address the tight end position from here on out going forward. Do they like the room that they have currently, or are they still wanting to add to that position? I think they're still going to add to that position because I think there's just such a huge emphasis that they're placing on tight end that they want to have more guys in that room and they want to have the best possible players. So why would they not try to add to that position in the draft in an undrafted free agency? Now listen to this quick clip about what Andy Bischoff says he wants in a player.
You know, we want a group of men that are smart, tough, dependable, vicious players.
Smart and tough, 2 things that probably every team in the NFL is going to say they want in a player. Dependable, they want to avoid those injuries, as we've seen with Ben Herbert. They've been really putting a lot of money into that strength and conditioning staff. I think it's the most expensive one in the NFL. And then this last one is vicious. And when Jim Harbaugh talks about players that he has on his team, remember one of those quotes that he has: bad intentions work on the football field. And that word vicious, to me, it just, I envision players like Derwin James, that kind of play style, like Denzel Perriman, that kind of play style as well. Other guys like Jalen Ramsey plays like that. The tenacious, like Tyrann Mathieu, the tenacity that they have and just flying around the football field, those guys are vicious. Another guy that fits that, vicious kind of play style, I think, on offense is Malik Nabers. Just the way he runs, that yak ability, the explosiveness that he has, the mindset that he has, the enthusiasm, man. He can also block, and that is one thing that Marcus Brady said in his interview, is that if you want to get on the field as a receiver, you're gonna have to block. And they want to have a bunch of different skill sets on offense at wide receiver. Do they have a skill set like Malik Nabers right now? Not really. But then again, they don't really have like any receivers on offense. They just have Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. So basically what we learned from both of these coaches is that Justin Herbert is going to be maximized. At least that is the goal. And also the goal is to have a balanced offense. It's not going to be a run-heavy approach, but they are certainly going to establish the run, and they're going to pass the ball when they need to. They're going to allow the run game and the pass game to open up opportunities for each other. They're also going to have a lot of formations that run a bunch of different things out of them, so the defense does not know what's coming. It's going to allow them to be multiple in their offensive philosophy. And then another thing that Andy Bischoff said is that they want this building to be an offensive line centric building. There's a huge emphasis on that position group. That strength program that they have with Ben Herbert, it's built around the offensive line. They value O-line so highly, and that's going to affect everything that they do in their day-to-day operations, like how they stretch, how they practice, how they train. They want offensive linemen to want to go and play for the Chargers because of how they value those guys so highly. And Andy Bischoff even said that offensive linemen are at the forefront of their thought process. And that doesn't signal to me that they're really trying to run the football because they want those offensive linemen. The offensive linemen, they need to pass block and they need to run block. And if you can't pass block for more than 2 seconds, Justin Herbert's not going to be able to take a deep shot down the field. If you can't run block to the left or to the right, or you can't pull or something, you're not going to be able to fill up those gaps and block guys down the field for your running back. Jim Harbaugh said at the coaches meeting that everything revolves around the offensive line, and that is why they value O-line so highly, because it helps their offense and it helps their defense. It helps their special teams when it comes to winning the field position battle. And that is everything that you need to know. I was able to ask Marcus Brady a question, but he didn't really answer it because, it's too early in the process and all that. But if you didn't see my video yesterday, here's everything that happened when I was at the Chargers facility.